Hey guys, in this week's strategy segment, I'm going over something that I call the equity trainer workout. What this is used for is to train you to estimate your equity versus an opponent's range on a given flop. The reason that this is important is because a lot of times, either in six max or in heads up, we're going up against pretty much predefined ranges if you're using your HUD correctly. And it's important to know how different board textures hit our opponent's range, and also how that board texture hits our range. In that way, if we can estimate our equity versus our opponent's range correctly, we can play correctly, and that play can either be to call, raise, or fold. So, the only way to get better at this is just to do repetition. It's all about repetition, repetition, repetition. That's how skill development happens. If you frequently do this, and I would suggest doing this 2 to 3 times a week at first, and doing that for maybe a couple of months, and then after that, maybe only once a week or something like that. Also, I built a system so that you can track your results. It's just going to be a spreadsheet, and I'll upload it to Mega Upload, and you guys can download it so you can track your results easily. So next, let's get into how to actually use the equity trainer. So the program that you'll need for the equity trainer is called Equilab, and I will include the link in this post. So you download Equilab and install it. It's free. And you go to Tools and Equity Trainer. So here there's a couple of things we can do. We can either use a predefined range for a predefined quiz, or we can use user-defined. At first we're going to use user-defined. So the first thing we need to do is assign our opponent's range. A typical example of this, or one that I was working with earlier, is an average regs calling range versus a 3-bet. That's going to be our range. Actually, so we should, excuse me. So the villain's range is going to be this. If you guys want to use this for your first time, go ahead and try it. So this is good. Tight, out of position, 3-betting range in heads up. It's going to be sevens plus, ace 10 off plus, ace 10 suited plus, and king queen suited and offsuit. So that's our villain's range. And then our range is going to be a specific hand. In this case, we'll say pocket nines. Now we just have to click start training. So we start training, and it gives us a flop here. So it's a 3-8 deuce flop, and we're supposed to estimate our equity with nines versus our opponent's range. So I'm going to guess here that we have about 65% equity versus our opponent's range on this flop. As we can see, I was off by a fair amount. So we go to the next question. And here, 7, 7, 8 board. I'm going to guess 60% equity. 56, okay. And queen 10, 10, okay. Pretty bad board, so I'm going to guess we have 35% equity. Okay. So, you guys are probably getting the gist of this now. What I would suggest is that with each scenario, you go through 10 different flops. And then at the end, you'll click Final Results. And right here, it's going to give you a little report. And what I want you to do with this report is look for the average difference. Okay, the average difference in this case was 4.4%. And I'm going to go ahead and go into my spreadsheet here, which you guys can download and use. So it says average difference is 4.4%. I'm also going to input my opponent's range and my range. Just pull this up. Oh, go back there real quick. Should still be saved. Okay, yep. Villain's range is 7s plus, and our range is 9, 9. So that's one scenario. So for another scenario, maybe we'll look at now we're going to look, villain's going to have the same range, but we're going to look at Our range is not going to just be pocket nines. We're going to look at our range will be a pretty loose calling range versus 3-bets, and I define this as an average range regs calling range versus a 3-bet. So we hit OK, and then we hit start training. And again, we get a flop, but this time our hand is going to vary, and it's going to randomly select a hand from this range. So on this flop, obviously a really good flop, I'm going to guess 85% equity. Okay. 7-8 on King 10 deuce. I'm going to guess that we have 15% equity. Okay, we have 13, etc., etc. So here I'm going to guess we have 35% equity. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go through it 10 times. I'm only doing it 3 times for the sake of the example. And we're going to go ahead and hit final results. And we're going to take our average difference. Okay, it's 6.5. And we're going to look for, or we're going to input our range and our opponent's range. So villain's range is queens plus. And our range is significantly wider. And it's okay if it doesn't all fit in the box. It'll still be stored in that cell there. So those are a couple of basic things that we can do here. And what I would suggest to you guys of what ranges to run would be to first start out with pretty simple situations, just to get used to doing this. But as you become more comfortable, I'd like you to start working on common situations for you. So if you're a 6-max player, and let's say that you are wanting to work on playing or on how to play in single raise pots out of position, that would be a good place to start. So we would say, let's look at a random regs opening range on the button. So in here, it's got a bunch of predefined ranges that you can do. You can look through them all. I'm going to use the card runner's button open range for like just an average reg. Okay, that's going to be the range we're up against. And then we're going to look at our defense range versus that. So this is the hands that we're not 3-betting. These are the hands that we're calling. So I think this would probably be a somewhat standard range. And then maybe some hands down to like right here. Ace 10 suited, maybe ace jack suited and offsuit. King 10, queen 10 suited. Maybe some couple suited gappers. Okay. So I feel that that is a somewhat standard range. Now, let's go ahead and hit apply, and let's look at some flops. So again, okay, here we're going to have like 30% equity. Okay, way off. But that's not the point. Again, we're just going to take our results and input them into the spreadsheet. So the important thing is to try and use situations and ranges that are most common for you so that you can apply them in-game as often as possible. So let's say you've gone through your 10 different scenarios. And also, if you don't have time to go through all 10, that's fine. It would be an ideal if you went through 10. If you could go through even more, that would be even better. But let's say we go through 10 and we get our results. And in this case, our summary is 5.45%. That's the average of these 10 different scenarios. And then we're going to go into the monthly tab, and we're just going to go ahead and input the date of our session here, and we're going to input our results. I think it's a good idea to track these results. Oh, my mistake. I think it's a good idea to track these results because it's going to be pretty motivational to you to see that average number, that average difference shrink, and it's going to be a pretty good form of positive feedback for you. So I would suggest keeping track of your monthly averages. And here I just have like a monthly template, so you can just copy and paste this into a new sheet and put the month on there. And then, and then at the end of each month, you can take your average. In this case, I should just hit average, take those numbers. Okay, the average here, 5.45%, and then go into the yearly record, and we're in December, so I'm going to go ahead and put 5.45. I think, there we go. All right, and then if we do this over a period of time, we will see, hopefully, an increase in performance as that number continues to drop. Again, the important part of this is repetition. The more you work on it, the better you're going to get. And yeah, that's it. So put in a lot of repetition. Try to use scenarios that are most common for you, and especially the ones that you feel you're weakest at. And that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoy this and this helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. All right, thanks.